and we can see we have that same lever right here. We have a little slot on this little tiny chip breaker here. Hello and welcome to the shed. In today's video we're going to be doing a tool overview of the number 164 low angle bevel up smoother. Hope you enjoy. This is the Lie-Nielsen recreation of the Stanley version. Now Stanley made it between 1926 and 1943. As I understand, they didn't sell particularly well, but Stanley has recreated it and this one works really well, so let's jump in and actually take a look at what we have here. So since this is a low angle plane, it has everything that a low angle plane has. Your basic locking knob with your adjustable toe plate, just using the little bronze lever here to move it back and forwards off a screw. It's pretty normal. Now where this one is different and why I wanted to show you this is our mechanism on here for adjusting the depth of the blade. So if I just grab my quick lubing plane over here, we can see, as you would expect on these sort of planes, we have a lever, we have a yoke, and the yoke acts on our chip breaker here to adjust the depth of the blade when we spin. So what we have over here is obviously this exact same thing. Now I'll show you in a sec how the rest of this actually works, but let me just take this off first. And we can see we have that same lever right here, and we do have a yoke here, except it's bent at 90 degrees to come through, and on our blade we have a little slot on this little tiny chip breaker here instead, or cap iron, whatever you want to call it. In this case I'm going to call it a little cap iron, on which the yoke has been machined down so the back of it fits in that slot. Now while I'm at it, let's have a quick look at how this varies. It's not a lever cap like this, it's not a screw cap, and how these ones work, if you're not aware, is that they lever or you put screw pressure here, it cams off the screw and it adds the pressure down the bottom. If we look at this one, we don't have that. There's no levering, there's nothing to do up the top here. This is our depth adjustment. So how does this hold? Well, I'll show you that when we get back down there. But I can see we have one point of contact just here at the back, one point of contact here, and you can see how flat and square that is along there. And we have one point that we can hold it, and you guessed it, that's where that screw is. So the screw here holds everything in place. So to that end, we will drop it straight over the screw here and then do this screw up. Before I do that, I just wanted to quickly show you how we laterally adjust it. So it sits in here, the screw goes in that little machined gap here on our machined 12-degree bed like you have on all low angle planes, and we have the exposed pieces here where you can either tap it with a hammer, or what I like to do initially with this one is actually use my fingers to adjust it, and it actually works very well. Before I get on to showing you how this goes into the plane, we need to talk to one thing, this, our little cap iron here. Now, the idea is this functions because of where it sits from the edge of the blade. So you need to maintain the distance from this part of it here to the end of your blade. To that end, on my shooting board, I've taken that marking down when I first got this, and so I can always loosen that screw and push it back, but you do need to make sure this sits square on here because otherwise it won't work, and you do need to make sure that it sits from the edge and that screw is done up nice and tight so it doesn't move. So let's jump back down here and I'll show you the easiest way that I've found to put this into the plane, and I'll show you how we quickly laterally adjust it. So I stack it like this because this is by far the easiest way. Now in stacking it like that, everything's in an alignment, so we can just come straight in here instead of drop it over like that. Now the reason I like to do it that way is it prevents the edge of your blade from smacking up against the adjustable toe plate, because it can't go any further than this screw. So if you do put it in other than that, you can smack it against it, and I did blunten it the very first time I put it in doing that, until I realized that this is the way to do it. It works heaps better. Then just do that screw up. Now I do that up as tight as I can with my fingers, and this is where I said we can then adjust it with our fingers for the lateral adjustment. So you can actually just grab it in on the back here with your finger, and with that done up, you can actually lightly move it and click it. You can probably hear that there. There's not a lot of lateral adjustment in this, but enough to square the blade up. Once that's done, we have the machine screw on the top here, and give that maybe quarter of a turn. Now I can't actually laterally adjust this, but our depth adjustment wheel has enough mechanical advantage that we can move that back and forwards with relative ease. I think I did put a little bit too much tension on it there, so I can just back it off just a tiny bit, and you're just looking for it to move fairly easily. Don't want to be putting a lot of force on it. And one last thing is, once you've got it to this, if you've already tightened this up and you realize that your lateral adjustment is a little bit out, all you need to do is just grab a hammer, turn it back up, do a quick little tap adjustment, and you can just correct it in this final stage. You could do it all here if you wanted to, but I find it's easier just to use your finger to adjust it most of the way, and you can get a little control right at that end if you do need to tap it a little bit. But to be honest, this is actually very easy to square up. It's not a difficult plane to square the blade up on. I did read online, as I mentioned right at the very start, that apparently not many of these were sold by Stanley. Apparently they didn't work the best. Apparently more was sold in Britain than in the US. However, this one actually works perfectly fine, and I think that's due to modern materials, modern machinery, and maybe this nice thick blade as well, which I'm pretty sure Stanley was not using a 5mm thick blade in their version of it. I couldn't find the exact thickness of what Stanley used, but there's no way it was 5mm thick. So now that we know what the plane is, how it operates, how to adjust it, let's just jump over here. I'm going to put a piece of Jarrah from the tool bench build, the low Roman bench build, and I'll talk you through the operation of this top mechanism, and we can have a quick look at how it takes a shaving as well, which is going to be the same as most hand planes, but I really wanted to sort of showcase how the mechanism works, and that it works just as well as it does on something like a Bailey or Bedrock system like this one. So what I've done here is I've fully retracted the blade, and I just wanted to talk through the ways in which you think this might work. So you might think you might be able to do it with your finger like this, but to me it sort of works, but it's a little bit of an uncanny, a little bit unnatural motion to sort of do this here like this. It does work. I actually find, and because it's light, I actually find it's easier to use my other hand here and just adjust it like this as I go along. But either way does work. It's just a little strange because I'm more used to it the other way, going like this rather than this. It just feels a little strange. But once you get used to it, this is more than a valid method. So I finished retracting it there, and let's just tap any little bit of shaving out there. So I've gone from a little fine piece and then it's a little bit easy. This moves quite easily, so it's a little bit easy to over adjust it, so you've got to be careful. That's the only thing. But you can see in operation it functions very well. It functions almost the same as one of these, which is fantastic, that you can have a bevel down and a bevel up plane operating identically. It's just a fantastic piece of engineering and design idea, in my opinion. So if you like this video of the showcase of the number 164 from Lie-Nielsen, do let me know down below if you've had a chance to use one of these, or whether you'd love to have one. Is it on your bucket list? do let me know down below. And if you'd like to see another great tool overview video, such as the one you've seen here today, do check out the video down here where we go through the number 48 tongue and groove plane. Bye for now.